In this episode, we're going to talk about something I did wrong. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast. As I said, I'm your host, Michael Sahno, and this is the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. I said it 3 times now. It is the home of professional fitness, which is the fitness that is required for those who do jobs that require excellent health and a ton of strength. I am jacking this up because professional fitness is a new thing, but that basically we made up. So head on over to www.sandlfit.com. That's www.sandlfit.com. And go over there and find out what professional fitness is and how we can help you with it. This podcast is also brought to you by 511 Tactical, the makers of some of the greatest tactical and tactical fitness equipment on the planet. Use the link in the description below to go over there and get some awesome stuff like sandbags and weight vests that, I personally use, we personally use. We are also brought to you by Thorne Fitness. Some of the best supplements on the market used by nutritionists and dietitians, because what's on the outside of the bottle is what's inside the bottle. And you know that because they use third-party verification. So again, hit the link in the description, and I've got a couple of things in the little store that I have set up on the Thorne site, and you can get 10% off there on those items. Anything you want, let me know. I can add it to the store if that's something you're interested in, and I can get you 10% off that as well. And finally, we are also brought to you by RDX Sports Equipment. So RDX makes boxing and fight sports equipment. They make gloves, boxing gloves, MMA gloves. I use them for their focus pad mitts because they are just phenomenal, and they're part of something that I'm going to tell you. The focus pad mitts are part of something I'm going to explain to you in a moment. So again, hit the link in the description below and help us out and help yourself out. All right. So this episode is about, in a nutshell, responsibility. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and also admitting when you're wrong. So whether you meant to be wrong or not is not an excuse. You're wrong. And I was wrong in the last episode. I was talking about honestly, I was talking about vitamin D. Honestly. Specifically, I was talking about vitamin D. And but I didn't say vitamin D. I said vitamin B. And it was in regard to affecting your mood in the wintertime. Ensure you get enough vitamin D. And vitamin D can be made inside your body. And you only need, I think it's 15 minutes. You have to go outside. 15 minutes and get sunlight, and it just has to be on your face. Well, I said vitamin B, and I was totally wrong. Vitamin B and sunlight actually don't mix, and sunlight can degrade vitamin B. I'm not exactly sure how. Didn't look into that. I was more focused on, oh crap, I got something wrong. Forget about vitamin B, which is like a ton of different, vitamins like riboflavin, just a ton of them. But vitamin D was what I was thinking of, and instead said vitamin B. So if anyone out there caught that, this is my correction. This is my admitting I'm wrong. And that is the subject of this episode. Not that I got something wrong. Vitamin D is not the subject. But admitting your mistakes and going out of your way to correct them. Making sure that everyone knows that you are a human being and you are fallible, and that you can make a mistake. You probably will make a mistake. Now, the difference is we all know the I'm sorry person. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, I'm sorry. They're the person who admits they can make a mistake. But that's not the person you want to be. Okay? The one who says, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and then never does anything about it. Continues to make the same mistake over again. The person you want to be is you want to be the person who makes the mistake and says, you know what? I'm glad I made this mistake. This gives me the opportunity to correct it. One, to learn from what I did, and to hopefully never repeat it again. I'm gonna, because I get my vitamins mixed up all the time. Probably shouldn't tell you guys that, but it's a lot of information that's got to be crammed in here for physiology. You know, as a sports scientist, yes, I'm a sports scientist. I have the classes to prove it. I don't know what that meant, but anyways, yeah, sorry. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee. Peter Madeira, this is for you. Ah, awesome. So back to mistakes. So I made a mistake. So I'm coming on this episode, the very next episode, and I'm saying, hey, I made that mistake. So that's the first step. So what's the next step? The next step is now I've corrected the mistake, right? And that's the first thing that I said to do. Well, the second thing is to educate yourself. Go through some type of exercise, effort, so that it doesn't occur again. Educate yourself on whatever it was that you got wrong. If it's an action, work to research so that you can find out physically what you did wrong. Let's say it's an exercise or something. Research that exercise. Ooh, good segue. And you're going to find out why in a second. And research that exercise and look for that moment in that movement that maybe you did wrong, that might have been a little bit dangerous, that might have could have potentially led to an injury, and did lead to an injury, and work to not repeat that again. The reason I said good segue is because we literally just launched our Sea and Land Fitness video exercise library. First 6 videos are out. They're only like a minute to 2 minutes. And they're, what's out now? Bench assisted dips, bench assisted dip pyramid, 8-count bodybuilder with step up. That's 3. Flutter kicks, which no one's watched that one. Focus pad knee raises and banded side steps. So you can go over there. And this week we're going to put out another 6 or 5 or 6, depending. And that's going to finish up all the videos for the sandbag workout, which I'll talk about later on. Calisthenics sandbag workout. But for me, what did that mean? So, like, if it's an exercise and you injured yourself, you're going to want to go research the movement and look at what you did incorrectly. And find it so that you don't repeat that mistake. So for you, that if that was the issue, that's what you would do. For me, I went back to my textbook. I actually fixed it in a really unique way, and this is literally another segue. So we have a newsletter that comes out every month. Comes out the first Wednesday of every month. And in it, I have three items, three terms, okay? In one in physiology, one in nutrition, and one in sports psychology. And what I did was I made the mistake before I put out the newsletter. So I said, you know what I can do? I can just go into the newsletter, and in the nutrition segment, for that term, I can use vitamin D, and I can outline what vitamin D does. So in order to correct my mistake, I knew that I had to come on to my next episode to correct it. Okay. So I did that, and apologize to you guys for being a dumbass and getting it wrong. Okay. But that's not enough. So I needed to take the next step and do the research and solidify the content in my brain, the data in my brain. So I did that by putting it in the newsletter and having to research in my textbooks, and then write out a simplified way to describe what vitamin D is to the layperson reading the newsletter. And hopefully, with those two things that I've done, I'm not going to make that mistake anymore. Now, I can even buffer it. I can even make it more set in stone that I won't make the mistake again by going and doing a deep dive. That's what I'll do. Next month in the newsletter, I'm going to do vitamin B. I'm going to square away my my knowledge on vitamin B, because apparently my knowledge on vitamin B is not that up to par. It needs to be better. It needs to be more quickly retrieved. Vitamin D needed to be quickly retrieved too, and I didn't have it. This, these are the things that you have to do in order to take responsibility for the things that you are going to say are, this is in my wheelhouse. This is my lane. And sports science is my lane. Professional fitness is my lane. Ensuring healthy physiology, exercise science, sports psychology, and nutrition are up here, readily available to you guys. That's my lane. And if my car needs a tune up in order to stay in my lane, I got to do it. I'm actually going, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just go over all my nutrition stuff, which is really weird because I'm reading a book on cattle animal husbandry right now, and it goes over vitamins, minerals, and cattle nutrition. So it would probably be in my best to not be as up to date on cattle nutrition as I am on people nutrition. So yeah, I'm going to do that. But overall, my point and the purpose of this episode is to let you know that it is important, extremely important, to ensure that the things that you have committed yourself to are the things that you're working hard at doing. maintaining the standard, keeping the standard, being the standard. And I wasn't the standard in my last episode. And yeah, it sounds like I'm beating myself up a little bit about that, but I am. It's funny because I can sit here and generally talk sports science, and I'm not getting away with, speaking to people and coming off as having a lot of knowledge. I actually do have a lot of knowledge, but making a mistake like that, something that's simple, is embarrassing. It's just definitely embarrassing. But be a man or be a woman, someone who has a name that they stand by, and get up and admit when you do something wrong and do everything you can to correct that wrong that you've just done. Wow. Yeah. So essentially what I'm saying is be responsible. Be responsible for yourself and be responsible for the things that you say you are and that you're going to do. And that is one of the large issues that's going on today, I think. And this is where I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a deep dive, or take a dive off the diving board into the deep end. I don't even know what I'm saying. Hold on. Let me have a sip of coffee. All right. Yeah. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to talk now for a couple of minutes about how responsibility is not something that I see as being important. I find that we have, in this country, in the society that exists in this country, I'm finding that it's okay to just say whatever you want and be wrong without consequence. Because to be honest, I could have done that because nobody made any comments about it. Nobody emailed me about it. I just knew personally, that I'd given you bad information. But there are a lot of people out there who, and I'm not talking about news, I'm not trying to get political, but there are a lot of people out there who will give you bad information thinking they're giving you the truth. Or there are also people who will outright lie to you, in the fitness space, in the space that we exist in right now. A really good example is I can't believe I'm going into this, the food pyramid. Okay. So the food pyramid is batshit crazy. It is 100% wrong. It is backwards. It is just wrong. And the food pyramid is based off of a hypothesis, which is fine. Having hypotheses, which is the plural of hypothesis, or an idea that's not proven, for those of you who don't know what hypothesis is, you just learned it. Being wrong, having an idea and being wrong is not a bad thing, okay? It's when you double down on that bad idea without any evidence whatsoever, okay? And the food pyramid is essentially, that's exactly what happened. This guy went and did this. He had this idea. So, all right, let's go all the way back. So Eisenhower had a heart attack. General Eisenhower from World War II became president. He had a heart attack. Apparently, he had heart trouble for quite some time, but it became, and that wasn't public, but then it became public. Okay. So Eisenhower had a heart attack, and this one scientist said, "Oh my gosh, I know what it is. I know what it is. It's all the butter he ate. It's all the butter. It's all the fats he had." Without any data to support that. He just felt that that was the problem, which is okay. That's okay. He saw a correlation. Correlation is when this happens and this happens. You know, if you stand in a field, you'll get struck by lightning. That's a correlation. Now, it's not 100% that if you stand in a field during a thunderstorm that you will get hit, but probability's high. But it's not a given that that will happen. That was probably the worst example whatsoever. But standing in a field doesn't cause lightning to strike the field. Lightning is going to strike where lightning wants to strike. It's going to follow the path of least resistance. If you just happen to be in the field when that path of least resistance happens, you know, the chances are you're going to get hit instead of that open wide patch, because we're all bags of water, which are highly conductive. Far too deep, far too deep. Anyways, this guy didn't have any evidence whatsoever that fat led to heart attacks, but he was convinced of it. And he was also convinced that cereals and grains were the key to health. Now, I'm not saying cereals and grains are not. You go all the way back into the Bible, bread has been made and is a staple of the foods that are discussed in the Bible. So we're talking 4,000, 3,000, 2,000 years. Okay. So grains are a part of the human diet. There are a lot of people who, we're not meant to eat them. We're not for, you know, we're meant to eat meat. No, okay. But as far back as 4,000 years, well, actually 6,000 years ago, 8,000 years ago, there's evidence of bread making. So we've been eating it for a long time. We are evolutionarily stabilized to eat grains in some form. But this guy who was convinced, the guy who developed the food pyramid, was convinced that grains were important and that fats and dairy were evil. Now, interestingly, Kellogg, who was a doctor, and I'm saying in air quotes because I don't know, his credentials to me were kind of iffy. The original Kellogg had a retreat where you would go and you would eat bran, and that's it, bran and water, and you would clean out your colon. So that was part of a larger movement in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And this guy wasn't a spring chicken who came up with the food pyramid. So I can't say with 100% surety that this guy was on that bandwagon, the Kellogg brand bandwagon, but I also can't say that he's not, and it would make sense if he was. So, long story short, he developed the food pyramid, said fats were bad. Lots of data has come out since then. Actually, during the rollout of the food pyramid, a lot of information came out saying that he was full of garbage, and he never recanted because he was so convinced of his own data, and he wasn't willing to be wrong. Whereas I'm saying it's important to be wrong. Man, that was a very circuitous way of getting there. We went around the block and back. We went downtown, came back, didn't get lunch. I'm so sorry. It sounds like a ramble. It wasn't a ramble. My whole point is that be honest, be responsible for the stuff that comes out of your mouth, and ensure that you're getting good data, giving good data, and being true to yourself and those around you. And that's what I'm trying to do with this episode. Give you a little history lesson too. I didn't throw any names in there because, you know, I don't know. I'm not big on disparaging people, but You can look it up. Just look up food pyramid controversy, and look up Kellogg. The only reason I use Kellogg's name is because to this day, we eat cereals because of what some lunatic did, uh, 100 years ago. So, all right, that's all. That's all I got for you this week. Yeah, that's all I got for you this week. Head on over to Sea and Land Fitness. Head on over to our website. I did a bunch of stuff to revamp it. A lot of fun stuff. Cleaned up the website a lot. Go over, pick up some merch, pick up some hats, whatever you want, and I will get it out to you. www.sandlfit.com. That's sandlfit.com. Also, check out the links that are below for 511, Thorne Supplements, and RDX Sports, and pick yourself up some awesome gear. I'm in the middle of working on a new dealer to bring you guys some sports equipment that I think is really good. They actually offer it at a good price. I have a ton of their sports equipment that I've gotten randomly from different places, and I'm trying to get it for my site too. And there was something else. Oh yeah, the fitness videos, the exercise library. So that is part of a larger push to get the programs out to you, because the fitness programs are going to be, I'm going to tell you guys about that in another episode, but go over there, check out the fitness videos. They're on our YouTube page. I'm going to put them up on the website too, in the program section, and yeah, get moving. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Later, honey badgers. Out.